Today we visit Hobbyists Studios in Cape Town.
Hi there, come inside.
Well, hi there. Welcome to my space, Project Studio Lightweight. Let me show you around. These days, the term recording studio is a very broad term. 30, 40 years ago, a recording studio was a big space with big 2-inch tape machines, big mixing desks. These days, it's actually very easy for almost anybody to build a studio. My studio is a very small one, and I like to call it a project studio. It does not have all the facilities and trimmings of a big recording studio. I'm in a bedroom with very little sound treatment. I'm fortunate that this room has an intrinsically good sound. That's just the luck of the draw. I believe I have what I need to do good work. The recording business can be a very competitive space, but I believe we need to think about how we compete, because it's not just about having the best equipment or the best facilities. It's about looking for an edge or a niche or something unique that makes you stand out from the others, not necessarily as better, but as different.
A good production facility is only as strong as its weakest link. So keep as few links in the chain as possible and focus on quality rather than quantity. Avoid the bells and the whistles and the trimmings. Go for the basic components: a good microphone, a good audio interface, decent software, good audio monitors. Less is more. Other components you may need would be a controller keyboard or set of pads and some decent headphones. Of course, you can always get the extra stuff once you've had that first $1 million hit. So here we really have all the essentials. We have the computer with software. I use Cubase software. We got studio monitors. I have two types. I have the nice sounding, comfortable ones, which I enjoy listening to. And then I always check on the good old Yamaha NS10, which aren't the best sounding speakers in town, but they certainly give a very true reflection of what your recording sounds like. I use a Focusrite interface that can record up to 8 channels at a time, and I use a Joe Meek preamp for my microphones. These little things over here are just little tiny speakers to check what it'll sound like on a junk system. With the amazing technology available these days, it's very easy for every studio to start looking and sounding the same. And I really think it's important to find that combination of equipment that makes you unique. And the focus of my studio as a keyboard player is obviously on my controller keyboards and the synthesizers I use. Or the two centerpieces of my studio are the Roland JD800, which is a good 30 years old already, and then a more recently developed keyboard called the Nord Electro 5D. The Roland JD800 is just a very special synthesizer for me. I just love its sound. It's not that common, and it's not that new. Very rich sounding synthesizer. It's not a keyboard you'd use to emulate pianos and real life instruments, but just a very warm, lush sounding machine. The Nord is just great with pianos. I just love its piano sounds. I got some beautiful new ones which you can download from the Nord website. It's also great for Hammond organs. There you can see the drawbars. I don't really use it for synthesizer sounds. They don't blow me away. But the pianos and the organs, it's really a gem. And I love working with it. I also like the keyboard for programming, for playing in piano parts. It's got lovely action. And I do tend to use the Roland JD800 if I'm programming in drums or basses or guitar-y type sounds. Another important component in my studio is this Roland Super JV 1080 synthesizer module. It's just a box full of lots and lots of go-to sounds. String pads, synth pads, some lead sounds, percussion sounds, loopy things, all kinds of stuff. It's like a box of tricks. And if you're really struggling to find something, if you look hard enough, you'll find it here. As I said, it's always important to try and find a unique combination of gear that makes your studio your own and different. And so I've obviously sought out all kinds of machines, old and new, which I work with to hopefully just have a bit of an edge. And this little machine here, the Roland Gaia SH01, really impresses me. It's fat, man, it's so fat. It's got fat sounds, fat everything, fat basses, fat leads, and lots of quirky sounds, great arpeggiator functions. It's not a pure analog synth, and the purists will probably shoot me for it, but it's good enough for me. It's just warm, fat, and I can get different things here. I can add different elements to my music just by playing with this music. It's a lovely toy. I can sit for hours and fiddle and create sounds. Good old 3 oscillator synth, not pure analog as I said, but in an analog style. All the features, all the parameters you would normally find on an analog synthesizer, plus some extras, some really cool effects, and of course the real fun arpeggiator. One last toy I really like in playing with is my old faithful Roland S760 sampler. Now the old machine, but really there's not a lot that can beat the Roland samples from back in the day. There's still some amazing samples on this machine, even though I've had it for a good, 25 years. The Roland S-Series sound library is still very strong by today's standards, and I still find it very strong, rich, and accurate samples, which I use in my mixes and productions. Obviously, on Cubase, we have all the stock plugins that come with Cubase. Halion also has an incredible bunch of go-to sounds, stock stuff, nice pianos, electric pianos, synths, everything. A Groove Agent's got some great drum kits. I also rely on quite a few Native Instruments plugins, which are just superb. And then I've found a good couple of real cute freebies, which really work for me. The PG8X is a free plugin, but a really good emulation of the old Roland JX8P from the mid-1980s. I know the JX8P well, and I tell you what, the PG8X sounds exactly the same to me. You can actually even download the system-exclusive patches from a real JX8P onto the PG8X. It's free, so check it out. I also found this Juno 60 plugin very useful, also a freebie. I used to own a Juno 60 and wish I still had it, but I sold it many years ago. And this has got some pretty faithful reproductions of the Juno as well. Anyway, I'll say it again. I think it's worth taking your time, if you're building a home studio, to go look at what's available, and don't just go for everything you can get your hands on. Find a selection of tools that you use that are not necessarily the same as the guy next door. It's so important we all find our own identity as producers and makers of music, and we don't all start sounding the same. And the challenge today with all the technology is that if we all just compete for the latest, greatest, best version of whatever's hip, we're all going to start sounding very much the same. One of the most important pieces of equipment any studio needs to look at is the microphones that they use. Now, really good microphones can be very expensive. I certainly don't have the budget for the expensive German Neumann type microphones that I would love to recommend and show you. But I found some really good microphones at an affordable price for the home studio owner or the project studio owner. My go-to microphone is this. It's a Rode NT2. I think they're made in Australia. They're mid-price range. They're not expensive. They're not the cheapest,
but I found this microphone to be really good as an all-round vocal microphone. I record everything with it. It's got polarity settings, frequency cutoffs, etc. If you're looking for one decent microphone at a really good price, I would recommend the Rode NT2. I also have one of these AKG C3000s. AKG is a well-known brand. Can't go wrong with AKG. This is a budget AKG microphone. I used to own the famous C414 until somebody broke it. And I use it a lot for miking guitars, and you know, when there's more than one singer around and I need more than one microphone at once for vocals. And then I also have another Rode. It's the new NT1. This comes kitted with a really nice fancy modern pop shield, and it's very similar to the NT2 actually. The NT1 is known to be very quiet, not quite the same dynamics as the NT2, but certainly if at an even better price, if you really can't make the price of an NT2. Thanks so much for popping in and hanging with me for a little while as I showed you around the tools of my trade. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope maybe even got some inspiration. Cheers.